Welcome to Beans and Breakdowns, a podcast dedicated to bridging the gap between specialty coffee and the heavy music community. On this episode, I'm joined by Katerina Economou, the vocalist of the band ESCUELA Grind. So grab a fresh cup of coffee and wake the fuck up! What's going on, Caffeinated crew? Today I'm joined by Katerina from the band ESCUELA Grind. How's it going?
It's great. Thanks for having me. Stoked to be here. Hopefully I don't embarrass myself with my coffee jargon, the bean talk, if you will. But so happy to be here. Thanks for this.
Thanks for joining me. I'm super stoked to be getting to talk to you. ESCUELA Grind has really been grinding, for lack of a better word. That's a terrible joke, but truly grinding in 2022. And you guys have like a bunch of shit coming up in 2023. So I can't wait to get into it.
Hell yeah.
Well, speaking of bean talk, let's talk about what you're drinking on your side. What do you have going on?
Awesome. So it's kind of late here. I'm like pretty, what's the word? Like caffeine affects me a lot in the nighttime. So I've been trying to get to bed earlier. So I have an empty cup, but I have a cup nonetheless. Not that anyone can see it, but the cup that I have is from Grindcore House in Philly, the Grindcore Coffee House. So that's a perfect thing to promote. Other than that, yes. Behind me, I have my grandma's Greek coffee, if you can see it right there when I'm pointing. Yeah. So that was it's like one of my few family heirlooms, I guess you could say, that was passed down recently to me. But yeah, my Yaya's Greek coffee pot behind me, ready to go.
So is Greek coffee similar to like a Turkish coffee preparation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much the same. I have never used that. However, my great grandmother, in Greek, she used to, there's like a way you do it where you like put the grounds in and you make the coffee, you pour the coffee, and then, whatever the configuration of the grounds are left over in the pot or the cup, I don't know, however you want to do it. You can read like fortunes in it. So like she used to do that for my dad and stuff when he was young. And
it's like the Romany style, like reading the tea leaves almost.
Yeah, exactly awesome. Like that. Awesome. Just with coffee.
It's mystical coffee.
There you go.
I love that. I really, really love that. I don't know if this is like a bastardization of it, I feel, but like the Peaky Blinders, I don't know if you watched that series on Netflix.
No. Well, I've seen a bit of it, probably like the first season or two, but there's a segment of that, probably Romani, you said.
Well, because the family comes from like the Romani background, and one of them, she's got second sight. So
okay.
she reads the tea leaves and tells somebody their fortune. And I was like, that's super cool.
There you go.
I didn't know you could do that with coffee. Well, shouts out to great grandma for reading fortunes. That's sick.
Yeah, she was cool. She lived to be 104, so something worked.
There's something there.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I am drinking. It's from Yamabiko Coffee. It has a cool story, actually, but it's a Japanese influenced coffee roaster here in Quebec. And this is their Daydream. It's a Costa Rican yellow honey coffee, which talks about the process, not really the flavor, but it's very good. It tastes like praline and like shortbread. So it's very like sweet, kind of cookie, sugary.
Buttery.
Yes, very buttery.
Nice.
I'll taste it better as it cools, but it's definitely got like a nice kind of buttery texture to it. The artwork is really nice. It's a Japanese, a Japanese and Canadian couple, but he's from Ontario, moved to Quebec and started a roaster in like a small town about 2 hours from Montreal. and it's very like Japanese artwork influenced, but they use a lot of like modern roasting. It's very cool, very cute story. But my friend gave me this bag. So shout out Will. Thanks for bringing me some coffee from Sutton.
Beautiful.
Cheers. I guess have cheers. You can cheers the Grindcore House mug. Yes.
Spirit cheers. No, I'll drink an extra big cup tomorrow for this for sure.
Just early in the morning.
There you go.
I've had 3 coffees already today, and this is my 4th one, so I'm kind of dreading what happens around 10 p.m. We'll see how that goes. Well, that's awesome. You guys are in Salem?
We actually are on the other side of the state of Massachusetts. So it's a small town called Pittsfield is where 3 of the 4 of us live at. I'm the only one that's from Pittsfield. Okay. So we claim Pittsfield is Western Mass. We're right on the New York border though. And our guitarist, she lives on the other side in Albany. So Albany, New York's like the closest city that's about an hour away.
That's cool. That's very close to Montreal. Not like super close, really but like 4 hours away maybe.
For sure.
That's awesome.
We love Montreal so much.
Do you have a favorite shop in Western Mass?
To get coffee, So we're kind of in a small town. We have like boutique style places. There's one in Lenox just called Lenox Coffee, which is like a bougie town, and they carry like Barrington Coffee Roasters. So that's pretty much what everyone carries around here. And it's good. It's quite good. But since we're in Massachusetts, we're in the land of donkeys, Dunkin' Donuts, like supreme, like every corner. I know y'all got like Tim Hortons and whatnot up there, but like, Dunkin' Donuts is like a religion over here. And like you can never go to the same too. Oh no, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I would take Dunkin' over Tim any day.
Yeah. Oh God. I don't know if I would like, I have, a fondness and a nostalgia aspect to like drinking their coffee, but like it's definitely, you can't go to like 2 different Dunkin' Donuts or even the same Dunkin' Donuts and even the same person making the coffee and get the same coffee twice. So like, especially when you go through all like the flavors and like then steam gets involved and it's a whole thing. But yeah.
Well, so recently there's been this big debate online with some of my friends that is Dunkin' better than like Tim's or Starbucks, and actually Dunkin' Donuts, the quality of their coffee is better than Starbucks. Oh. Like the way they roast everything is actually better.
Nice.
It's all subjective, right? Yeah.
I go almost every day. Hey. Well, I used to feel that way. Like I just like didn't know much about coffee. Not that I know much about coffee now, but I didn't really know anything about coffee. And I just kind of thought it all tasted the same, or like whatever you mix it with is what it's going to taste like. Mm-hmm. But I went for the first time to Colombia, the country, Colombia, and was having their coffee there, and it's like, oh my God, it's the best coffee in the world. Like anytime I see like the option to have Colombian coffee, I'll get that coffee because it's so good. And like, not too much, like we don't, we get big glasses here, but I'm not like a big cup of coffee kind of person. I just grew up always drinking coffee from a little age, like small increments. So I just love their coffee. And as far as I know, it's pretty ethically sourced, and like the government kind of has like there's like some sort of government program for coffee there, and like and they at least make it an even playing field for the coffee growers, as far as I've been told. Whether that's like true or not, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's just really, really good stuff. So that changed it for me.
Well, if you're going to have your coffee taste changed by something, I think that's probably the best experience you could have with their little tintos.
Yeah, yes.
But the equitability of Colombian coffee, like you said, it's basically, there's a government agency that controls the pricing of it, and they don't penalize you if your crop is not as ripe, but they give you a bonus if most of your crop is ripe. So they incentivize the quality instead of like penalizing people for quality.
Nice.
So it is
cool.
Yeah. So you know more about coffee than you think you do.
I guess so. Just a very narrow window. I'm
That's
running
fine.
out of facts, so
It's purely anecdotal.
hey.
Well,
and it helps us do what we do.
That's true. The addiction that we all have to caffeine in some sort of way.
Sure. I just kind of been weaning myself off from our like tour consumption of caffeine. Like tour is like a whole other level of caffeine consumption. And I try not to drink as much like Red Bull and stuff anymore. So it's like coffee or nothing. And so that was a little difficult weaning myself off that for the past couple of weeks.
Those coffee withdrawals are brutal. Yeah, the caffeine withdrawals as a whole. Yeah, I'm happy that I don't have to do that.
There you go.
You get the weird headaches and stuff. Well, ESCUELA Grind, you guys are really, really, I think, the representation of what's going on in American grindcore at the time, in a genre that's been dominated by a lot of kind of machismo and manliness, and maybe a hesitation from like people that aren't burly men to be involved. What do you think that is important for you guys, kind of representing not just people of color in grindcore, but also like female and femme representing people that want to be a part of grindcore?
Yeah, I mean, every single one of us will have a different answer for you, I'm sure. But as a band, like, our goal is to, how do I answer this?
Not to put you on the spot, right?
No, there's a lot to unpack there. Like, personally, I don't care if someone calls us false grind, whatever. I gave up on that so long ago. I'd rather be false grind than true grind as it stands these days. So there's that. We got that out of the way. Well, for me personally, let's start with me. Like I grew up here in Massachusetts, hardcore music, not seeing a lot of, small people, women, people of color. I mean, definitely always we had bands and whatnot to look up to from a distance, that fit those molds. But, since I lived in a small town, there was a lack of seeing yourself and the people that performed for you. And we did get, every so often there'd be someone that was a little bit more ambitious that would like book more out of town bands. And like, so you would kind of know what was out there, but it just didn't seem like something that was going to be attainable for me to do, have a band that, toured or played big festivals or even, just existed for a long amount of time. Right. Mm-hmm. So for me, every milestone we hit, everything we get to do with the band is just like proving that younger version of myself wrong. Like you absolutely could have done this. You could have done this back then. You could do it now and you can still do it in the future and you can inspire others to do the same, because we take for granted a lot of the times when we go to big cities and whatnot that we're like, maybe we're shouting in an echo chamber, or maybe it doesn't matter, or maybe it's not a problem anymore. But like, there's always someone that needs to hear that they're welcome and that they can do what it is that they're so passionate about being at shows and whatnot. Right. So that's really important to me, and important for us as a band in general to, obviously be as welcoming as we can, but our goal has always been to be a gateway band. So instead of like gatekeeping, we're the gateway. Like we want to bring your little cousin into like extreme music. We don't we want to be the band that like you show like younger kids and then gets them interested in this music. We don't necessarily care about how old you are, what you look like, any of those things. Even if you don't listen to another heavy band and we're your first heavy band, like that's great for us. We want you here. We want you to, mosh for the first time at our show and whatnot. So that's always been important to us. And sonically, sometimes that comes out with, we start with grindcore and power violence, but we mix a lot of influences in. So you're going to hear some hardcore, you're going to hear some death metal, and anything really. We love Prince, we love R&B in general. Like, so we try and cherry pick from whatever works for the song. So I think that is a big part in both why people will call something false grind and our mental where we're at, like, and being that quote gateway band. Right. So yeah.
I really love that, like being a gateway band. For a long time, I've said on the podcast that gatekeeping is kind of stupid, and if everybody gatekept everything, nobody would be into hardcore or heavy music at all.
Yeah.
But yet we're plagued by gatekeeping and elitism constantly. It's hilarious. Especially on Twitter, which we can talk about that in a minute.
Sure.
But being a gateway band, I totally see that from you saying that, and then watching you guys perform, your stage presence especially, and like the way that y'all appear on social media is so funny to me, because it's like, this band is really fucking good. ESCUELA Grind is a great band. They blend so many like different genres together. It sounds like a hardcore band that's just playing a bunch of music that they like, which I love. But then like, you guys don't take yourselves seriously. Like, you take it seriously, but it's like nothing is sacred, which is great.
Yeah, it's just there's so many different styles to do, and like, there's bands in the 90s that kind of perfected the whole like shock factor of what you could how brutal you could be or whatnot. It's just not my style. It's just never been my thing. Thanks for recognizing that. I'd rather be like truthful with people about like, how we present ourselves online. Like, we don't take certain things too seriously when they don't need to be. Like, I don't know, that's just us. So
yeah, like I think there was a photo recently y'all posted, and it's like, I think y'all are flicking off a statue of Andrew Jackson, and it says Andrew Jackson is a mark ass busker. Is that, or buster? Yeah.
yeah.
That's one of the funniest photos I've ever seen from a band, but it's truthful. So you're being truthful and political and yourselves. Amazing.
Thank you. You didn't think that one would be as controversial as it was, I guess, online. Like,
was it really?
So fun. Yeah. Facebook is a weird place, but like, so we posted that, and it was doing like its thing. Like, our fans were like, "Yeah, fuck Andrew." Like, our fans were like, "This is great," whatever. And then like it hit some sort of algorithm, and there was like a bunch of like American conservative like older crowd that got onto it, got a hold of it, and was just like talking mad shit. Like, they're like, he was great. And then our fans were like, oh no, you should actually educate yourself about this or whatever. And then there was like all these other random people that probably agreed with the message, but they came in and they were like, this isn't edgy. Like, everyone knows this. Like, it was a whole thing. I don't know.
You're not really being edgy enough.
Yeah, that was
that's so funny.
Social media for you.
Becoming a vocalist, was that something that you were wanting to do? Were you in like local bands, like in your teens and stuff like that as well?
No, not really. I have always played music and sang, and to varying extents, and done art and whatnot. But since our town is so small, I would back then I felt like I had to be asked to do something like that, and I didn't really ever feel like that would come out of where I was at. So I grew up here in Western Mass. I moved when I was it 18 or 19? I was 18 or 19. I moved down to Texas, to Dallas, Texas.
Oh.
So I went to school for like 5 years. That's where I met Jesse, our drummer, and my partner. And then we moved to Central New York in Ithaca, New York, and that's where we started ESCUELA. So, and then now we're over here in Massachusetts. So it's like I lived there. I lived here up until a certain age, and got a lot out of that from the hardcore scene. I went away for a while, and coming back like after almost 10 years, it's like the landscape is totally different here, and things are so much more. I don't know if accessible is the right word, but it feels a lot different. Doing music in Western Mass here now, and like, granted, there probably aren't as shows that I had growing up, like heavy shows, where we are specifically at in Pittsfield. But overall, I think it's a much more welcoming place for any type of musician. So I'm so happy for that.
How is the scene in Ithaca?
Ithaca is like a college town. It's a small town, but when the college kids are in there, there's a lot of people. I can't really speak to it now because it's been a while since I've gone. And when we tried to go back, it was like, COVID is weird, and COVID was really weird in the university town. So like we haven't been in a while, but it was a great place to start a band for several reasons. Like, there wasn't too many heavy acts in town. Like, we were really the only like grindcore power violence band in town.
Right.
There was one other band that like could work with what we did, but not exactly the same. And there was a few really cool venues and a very cool nonprofit, community-run underground music group. So those three things together, it was awesome because there were so many mixed genre bills that we were added to. We played with a lot of different people, and we had the college kids to play to, and try and draw different people in. There's always like a new group of kids every year to entice to heavy music. But it is like kind of isolated from a lot of stuff. Like, it takes like to get to like Buffalo was a few hours, like to get to Syracuse was an hour. That was probably the closest place. And like, you could do a New York tour, and we did a lot of like weekenders and stuff in New York, but it was a lot of driving, and it's difficult.
That's why Ithaca's not known for their heavy scene. So that's why I was like curious, I can't name one band off the top of my head that's based out of Ithaca, because it's a little island in the middle of New York. It's not like Dallas, where the scene is fucking huge and there's Frozen Soul and Creeping Death and Unity TX and shit like that. So that's very interesting. Now I understand why you would relocate to Western Mass, because it's a bit more like close to things. Like, New York is a few hours, Montreal is a few hours.
Yeah. It's like we're like at the crossroads for so many different scenes too. Like, not throwing any shade on New York at all, but like you drive twice the amount of time to go to like a scene and play with bands that are all like the types of shows that were being booked and stuff. Like, it wasn't as gosh, I mean, how do I say this? You were playing a lot of similar shows, driving twice the amount of time, and like, it wasn't always a guarantee people would show up because there's a ton of blizzards out there and whatnot. And it was early in our time as a band, so it was different than now. But like, here in New York, I mean, like, in Massachusetts, like, Boston is totally different from Brooklyn, which is totally different from Philly, and like, it's the same amount of driving time. So like, it's definitely, it's a great place to be close to a lot of things, but still out there. So
yeah, you're not like in a crazy overpopulated city with like super high rent and cost of living. So
that part,
that's the guarantee. That's why a lot of people in Canada are moving to Montreal, because the rent, I don't want to put this out there, because don't move to Montreal unless you have to. But the rent is pretty low, and the cost of living is really, really like accessible for the rest of Canada. Like, Toronto, as big a city as it is extremely expensive. And same as New York. New York, you can't even live in New York anymore. You got to live in like Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's why I think it's cool that you're in an area where you can just reach, but then if you want to go back to your like seclusion, then you can. It's perfect.
For sure. Yeah, we're really grateful and lucky for the situation we have over here. We're able to practice whenever we want, without bothering anyone. Right. And we have a house here that all of us have lived at before. So it's it works out great for what we do because Escuela Grind is like our full-time gig now. So wouldn't really be possible if we were in, like you said, Manhattan or Brooklyn or something like.
Yeah, it's too expensive. Plus, I don't want to. You want to live around all those people. Who wants to live around fucking 8 million people?
I loved living there. I lived there for a very short period. Yeah, you gotta like you get into it though. Like you have to become one with the mindset. Like and as soon as you go back there, like it doesn't leave you. Like you go right back into that. Like yeah,
you tap back into the hive mind.
Exactly.
That's like living. Montreal is the first place I've lived that's this size of city, and it's about 2 million people, and it still feels like it's almost too big at times. Like there's too many people.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I can't even imagine.
But I love how it's set up to where it's like all the little neighborhoods, you know, and like maybe I'm wrong in that it's not really like this anymore, but it's like every kind of neighborhood was its own ethnic group. So like, you know, there's Portuguese town, like there's like a, you know, French Canadian part. There's, you know, all sorts of, yeah. I love Montreal.
Yeah, there is still that. Every borough, as we call them, like a borough is like it started as a mini town. And then they all kind of incorporated together. But you have like Little Morocco, Little Portugal, which Portugal is now a mix of like Portuguese and then a lot of Spanish. Like all of the Spanish like social clubs are on that one street together and stuff. So it is cool. There is like different ethnic areas.
Hey.
Yeah. So
pretty sure like at the end of that street is the university, right? Is that the one I'm thinking of? Like, so like if you go, whatever that street is, the really long street with all the shops and stuff that you're talking about. Yeah, I love that.
Saint Laurent, I think.
Yeah, like the deli everyone goes to is on that street too. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
the one that Celine Dion owns or partly owns.
Yes. Oh, she owns? Well, didn't know that.
She's like a part owner.
That's hilarious.
It's Schwartz Deli. That's
Schwartz.
it.
Yeah, it's not Katz. Katz is New York City. I'm sorry, deli people.
You'll get judged for that. You better be careful.
I will. I can't show my face. To be fair, I am vegetarian.
Oh, so it's not for you to know anyway. Smoked meat and pastrami is not vegetarian.
No.
You guys released Memory Theater in September, which it's a fucking banger. Kurt Ballou, like, I mean, he's goated, so of course it's gonna sound great. But I love listening to the discography of y'all because I think the first video that I found like Escuela Grind on, and y'all were not. I don't even think the grind was in the name yet. It was still just Escuela, and it was on Hate 56, like 2018. There was a video that came out.
Hell yeah!
I was like, this shit's crazy. And that's when you all were more Power Violence, which I love Power Violence. So like to this day, I think the EP that I really do like the most is Power Violence, the long fucking
Hell
word.
yeah.
So yeah, it's fucking great. Like 4 minutes and it's 5 songs. Perfect.
Yeah.
But doing y'all's own recordings, because that first LP was all done by you guys, and then the second LP was also, wasn't it you and Jesse did it?
Yeah, so we did I guess the first LP well, it's kind of hard to say. So we had a series of EPs up until Indoctrination, which was in 2020 we released it, and it was like our first LP. But then Jesse recorded all of that and in the house. So so going from that to our second LP, which was Memory Theater with Kurt, was like really really different. There's like pros and cons to doing like it yourself a lot of the time. But what we did is like everything that Jesse learned about recording through recording all those EPs that we did in the past. And we demoed a lot of the material for Memory Theater, and we kept re-recording them and editing the songs and taking parts from this song and putting it with this, and then crafting a new song or rewriting riffs and whatnot. So obviously it was a without having done those things, we wouldn't have known what to do and wouldn't have had the skills to make the songs better. and shift the band into the direction that we wanted it to have with Chrissy, our guitarist, and more emphasis on having a 4 or 5 piece band, because before we had been like 3 piece all the way, which definitely impacted the style. Like when we started, and it was, like you said, power violence, fastcore leaning, really short songs, not a second guitar part in sight. Like bass was there because we recorded it, but like, it was, it wasn't there live per se. So yeah, all those experiences that we had before getting in the studio with Kurt, which was super daunting, but he's a really cool guy. And we have met him before, and we played with Converge before. So that was definitely like a big weight off of, it wasn't the first time we met him. So that was a big weight off of me, because I don't know if I would have been able to, would have been the same experience, having not had that initial like,
it would take an adjustment, I feel like, to be like, if you're walking into the studio to work with like somebody that you've admired for so long, it's like, I don't even know how to look at you.
Exactly.
He seems very chill. He's so cool. Yeah, he seems super chill.
Yeah. He's hilarious. Like our humors definitely like get along. We have great humors, and he makes you feel very welcome. And the studio isn't that large, so it feels really homey, and you're able to like hang out. Of course, it was like 2020, God, what year is it? It was 2021 when we recorded it. So it was still like weird with COVID and whatnot. So it was just the 3 of us in the studio with Kurt, and occasionally one other person would come up from the other room and check in. But yeah, a really amazing experience.
Did he like make y'all kind of stretch out, like trying different things? Because I know he's one of those guys that he'll be like, let's try this amp with this mic, and then like put it in like a closet with like a toilet on top or something. He's like one of those crazy minds. Did he like do anything weird where you're like, that won't work? And then it was like, oh shit, that sounds crazy.
Not entirely, I would say, for us. Since we had been demoing, he heard the songs as they were demoed and kind of knew already what direction we're going. And he like knew what our live performance was like. So I think on his end, there was like an attempt to get some of that live feel for what we recorded. But we honestly just told him like, we were just like, Kurt, whatever you want to do, just like we'll use that mic and that, that amp, just whatever you think is sound best or is you. So we let into his judgment a lot on that. He does have a microphone in the bathroom for recording vocal purposes. So that
is I would expect no less.
But yeah, definitely strange, like sitting on the toilet staring at a mic that may be hot in your face, right?
Yeah, just be cautious. Could always be hot mic. Listening to the album and then comparing it to like a lot of other people that are related in the genre, I think it has a really cool like original sound. It doesn't sound, thin or like too. It sounds very intentional, I guess is what I'm saying. It's very like thick and heavy and sonically like pleasing, but then it still has that.
Thank you.
That expected chaos from you guys. So I really enjoy listening to it. Cliffhanger, every time it comes to the don't push me because I'm close to the edge, drag me down, I don't give a shit. That's like one of the, I love it. So it hypes me up. Like I scream it in the car. So great.
Hey, thank you. Oh, that's awesome.
So love the album. Super excited for you guys for the Napalm Europe tour. Crazy.
Yes. So grateful, excited. It can't even use words to correctly state how we are feeling and preparing ourselves for this. But it's great. We went to Europe for the first time last year in 2022. So to be getting back so soon, to even be considered for this run is just really, we're so grateful. Can't say it enough. Napalm Death are like, they're one of the biggest inspirations on our band, on myself in general, politically, musically, like all the different lanes they've gone down, like with their sound and what Barney does with vocals. I mean, like just one of the, if people were to ask, like when we started out, like if you could play with anybody, who would it be? Like they are top three, if not number one, maybe for some of us. So it's like, and to play with Drop Dead, I mean, we've played with them before a lot because they're from Providence, and it's like it's really short. So you can, if you live in Western Mass, you can drive right over to Providence and play with Drop Dead and whatnot. But they're also a huge influence on me and in our band in general. So to get to play with both of them in Europe and share a tour bus for over a month is going to be amazing. So
I'm stoked for you guys. Anytime that a band gets to do like a full Europe tour, it's just really cool. And I always get stoked, especially when they're like really nice people. So I know you guys are like real ones. And so getting to go to Europe for the second time in 2 years is fucking great. And those shows are going to be insane.
Ooh. Well, thank you for saying that. First of all, that's really nice of you. And those shows are going to be insane. Like some of the venues we're playing are like, are you kidding me? Like we get to play Electric Ballroom in London. Like everyone has played there. Everyone has, like the Clash played there. Like I get to play where the Clash played. Like that's insane. And that's just the venues. So like we have never been to the UK. So we're really excited for this to be our first time and get to like sightsee and whatnot. And it's mind blowing. I don't know if I'm going to like over plan or under plan this time, because I feel like I over planned for Europe last time and was kind of let down that I didn't get to see certain stuff because we just don't have enough time. So maybe I'll go the under plan route this time so I don't get sad or disappointed with things that we can't see. But we ate so much last time we were there, so that's like a given.
And y'all did Obscene Extreme, which is, I feel like, another bucket list just to check off.
Absolutely. Like, so Chrissy, guitarist's like introduction to grindcore was watching YouTube videos from Obscene. I can never say it right.
It's such a hard thing to say.
And we've been watching videos of the festival for years and years, and like just to be able to go was something that I always wanted to do, but never did because I wasn't sure. And so having gone to play, I can very confidently tell anyone that's like kind of on the fence about going or whatnot, because it's like in the middle of the Czech Republic. So it's not like it's in a big city and like kind of daunting to go to a small town that's new and whatnot, so far away. But the town is really awesome. There's plenty of places to stay. They've been doing this a long time, so like they're prepared. And best run festival I've ever taken part of, for sure, and seen. The patrons there, like everyone's encouraged to be themselves and like get up on stage and dance and like it's not a problem, like there's like buck ass naked like weirdos there, but like everyone is so polite and nice to you. And I've never felt like so welcomed and so safe and so like appreciated as I've felt playing there. And like top to bottom, just like people that were attending the festival, people that were running it, people that were making food. Like it was the greatest festival I've ever been to for heavy music. So if you're thinking about it, you should do it because it is incredible. And Czech Republic is fairly affordable too. So if you can make it over, that is what you should do. Go.
Just fly to a big airport in Europe and then take a train. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Even if it's an 8-hour train, you only paid $50 for it. So keep that in mind.
There you go.
Well, that's awesome. Again, super excited to see what happens in 2023 for you guys.
Thank you.
So dressed like you're ready for anytime fitness, definitely not punk.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, I think that y'all's Twitter responses could become legendary in the hardcore metal community. I think there's one specifically that was like a D's nuts joke, which resonated with me because I'm always down for a good D's nuts joke. But who is it? You guys collectively just being like, "Hey, yo, fuck this," and then like saying it, or is it you, or is it Jet? Who is doing this?
That's like Chrissy's Olympic sport is like responding to people on Twitter and Facebook. She loves doing that stuff. Like I also enjoy it, but I'm retiring from the sport. I will let our younger member Chrissy, who is in tune with all what the hip youths are saying,
the Gen Zers.
Yeah, there you go. I'll let her take care of them fools for me. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely strange, like coming out of the threshold of DIY underground stuff and being exposed to more people, because like you always deal with, anytime you put yourself out there artistically, you deal with people shit talking or whatever, or like silly comments, like, but like this, the level that it's getting into now is like people that have nothing to do with like punk music in general, or like people that like just they've never even seen us before, like, and like just it comes up in their feed and they have to talk shit because it was 110 degrees and I decided to wear shorts and a tank top. Like, I don't know, it's definitely bizarre, but it is very fun for Chrissy to respond to, and fun for me by proxy because I get to have a good laugh.
Just read them, be a spectator for the gold that just keeps coming. What's funny is that the insults are not creative, but Chrissy's responses are just so good, and she's not even like reaching. Like it's just like oh, this one's easy.
Yeah.
Everybody listening, if you haven't listened to ESCUELA Grind, check out Memory Theater and go through the whole discography, because it's cool to start from the beginning and kind of listen through to like the changes and evolution. I love the power violence stuff because I'm just a shitty hardcore hipster kid. And I like aggressive music, but the new stuff has some grooves that are definitely mosh worthy. So check all of it out. Buy a t-shirt, give ESCUELA Grind all of your money, and go see them at a show and jump on somebody's head.
Hey, thank you so much for that, dude.
Enough said.
Mic drop.
Well, Katerina, this has been an awesome chat. I really, really have loved talking to you. I just have one last question before we go.
Let's hear it.
What's your favorite city for beans and breakdowns?
Ooh, all right. Well, I mean, I started off with the coffee cup from Grindcore Coffee House, so I think I'll end with that. We love Philly so much. It's such a cool city to play music in, especially heavy music, because there's a ton of venues. Most of them are small, so they're going to pack out, and there's so many different scenes within Philly. Like we played Philly like I think we counted like 7 times in like 5 months or something like that. And every show was different from the last show, and they just kept getting better and better. So love Philly for heavy music, and also love Philly for their food culture and Grindcore Coffee House. So that is a great answer.
Awesome.
If we could broaden it, we'll say Pennsylvania in general, because there's also a really cool spot in Pittsburgh, Black Forge Coffee.
Yo, shout out Ashley.
Yes, and they're amazing too. And I would feel remiss if I didn't mention them in the equation for beans and breakdowns. But they're great people. They do like collabs with bands and stuff all the time, and they host shows, which is really important for Pittsburgh, because that's such like, it's such a great music town, and it is essential in the tour route to have a Pittsburgh date. So we're so grateful for what they do over there. So thank you.
Yes. Black Forge is awesome. Ashley came on the podcast a long time ago, like over a year ago, a year ago. Yeah. So it was awesome.
Nice.
I love what Black Forge is doing. And what is the other Instagram that Ashley has is it's like the Traveling Bud or something like that. It's pretty good content.
Okay, nice.
So yeah, shout out Black Forge. Their merch is great too. They did that Typo Negative rip shirt, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I haven't heard
Hell yeah.
I haven't heard Philly in a while, so that's great.
Nice.
Thanks so much again for hanging out. Wish you and the Escuela Grind gang all the best 2023. Take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you so much. Tell your wife thank you as well for the support and like y'all listening to us. It means everything. Like, thank you so much. And thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Beans and Breakdowns. I want to say a huge thanks to Katerina for coming on the podcast. Be sure to go check out Memory Theater, the newest album from Escuela Grind, and check out all of their upcoming tour dates. Check them out. It is not a show that you want to miss. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. You can also find out more information about the podcast by following us on Instagram at Beans and Breakdowns and on the web at beansandbreakdowns.com. Montreal Madhouse is coming up February 17th and 18th at Fufun Electrice in Montreal. Do not miss out the chance to get tickets. Look in the description of this episode to pick yours up and pick up some merch from our new merch store on the website. Thanks so much for listening. Until next week, be sure to stay caffeinated and wake the fuck up.